All right, week 10 college football breakdown. Really good Friday night battle here. We got Oregon State traveling to Washington, both 6-2 teams in the Pac 12. Seeing Washington at home as a 4.5 point favorite. And this total has come down quite a bit, all the way from nearly 59.5, 60 to 54.5. Reason for that big move, going to be a rainy night in Seattle. Rain is going to have a pretty big factor on this game. Personally, if you're asking me who that affects more, that absolutely affects Washington more. Washington cannot run the football. They've got a very mediocre slew of running backs. Yes, the offensive line has been really good, but it hasn't really made a difference in the run game. They've been really good at protecting Michael Penix, and we'll get to that in a second. But if their passing game were to be affected by the weather in this game, they really wouldn't have much to turn to in the other facet. Oregon State, on the other hand, they are built and predicated on running the football. Jonathan Smith has done a really good job since taking over that job of getting the guys along the offensive line to be able to win up front. They've had a slew of really good running backs there. I mean, they had BJ Baylor last year. It's kind of been somewhat of a committee approach this year. Seems like Martinez is kind of pulling himself away as the number one back there. They're always good on the ground. So, if weather were to be a factor in this game, I think that does favor Oregon State. The one thing I'll say about Oregon State too, Chance Nolan, their quarterback to start the year, has been hurt, hasn't played in a while, actually. So it has been Ben Goldbrinson. If you look at it, they've got nearly identical numbers, just a tick above 60% completion. But both those guys have been over 8 yards per attempt this year. Nolan was over 8 yards per attempt last year. The way I look at Oregon State's passing game is pretty simple. They're, like I said, they're built on establishing the run. They're a run-first team. But when they can establish the run on somebody, those quarterbacks have proven to be pretty efficient in the play action pass, and they play really good complementary football. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think Washington's defense is very poor. I mean, they fall outside the top 100 in my efficiency ratings on the defensive side of the ball. Their main issue is their secondary. I mean, they had guys like Tanner McKee and Jaden DeLora throwing for over 11 yards per attempt, so that's kind of a red flag to me. I think up front they're a little bit inconsistent for my liking. I think they're solid against the run, but you're going up against a really good rushing attack. I don't think Washington is at a point defensively to where they're going to take Oregon State out of their game plan. I think Oregon State will be able to establish the run, and then that really opens up the play action passing game. That's been a good formula for Oregon State here these past few years. I mean, they're 6-2. Even with the backup quarterback, haven't really seen much of a drop-off with that offense. So I just don't think Washington's defense presents much of a threat to what Oregon State wants to do. Give Michael Penix and this Washington offense credit. That marriage with Kalen DeBoer has absolutely worked. I will say Penix is not playing as well right now as he was earlier in the season. And clearly, this is a very one-dimensional offense. I do like the way Oregon State's secondary has stepped up in some of their bigger matchups this year. Remember when they played USC back about a month ago at home? I mean, Caleb Williams completed less than 50% of his passes that day. He was at 5 yards per attempt. Go look at what Caleb Williams has done against virtually everybody else. Still, this was a bad pass defense a year ago. I don't know if they've been consistently tested enough to where I just want to surefire trust them in this spot because, Washington's passing game is good. There's really no two ways around that. But I do think Oregon State is the right side in this game. I like the way a team like that is built. If Michael Penix has an off night, Washington that's the only dimension that offense has its hat to hang on. So getting even a better number in the first half at +3, that is the way I lean at this point. I'm recording this on Thursday, mid-morning, Thursday afternoon. Haven't locked this in yet. I should have a final decision on this game by tomorrow. This game does kick off on Friday night. My best look in this game is towards the Oregon State first half +3. I wouldn't mess with a total. We've seen a huge market move there. Sometimes, though, the weather doesn't have as big of an impact as people think. So if you do like the over, you are getting a pretty favorable number. I'm not really going to mess with that. It's Oregon State first half or pass for me. This is a game that I could definitely see myself getting to the window with. All right, before we get out of here, I know you see this shirt right here. Head over to proud90.com for all your golf apparel needs. Obviously, got very unique but comfortable polos with the colder weather coming. Great selection of hoodies and quarter zips. Go to proud90.com and browse their selection. If you see anything you like at checkout, use code FORDHAM. Going to get you 15% off your entire order. That's code FORDHAM at proud90.com is going to get you 15% off your order. Support me, support Proud90, proud90.com.